Welcome to Network and Chill on the Couch. We're going to be hosting a series of talks with investors, entrepreneurs and startups who'll be giving us a little bit of advice, some tips and an insight into their personal journey. Joining us on the couch, we have Dan, who is the co-founder of downyourhighstreet.com. What's downyourhighstreet.com?
Downyourhighstreet.com is a marketplace for independent high street retailers. So them lovely, unique boutiques that you find on the high street and your small family-run shops. We curate their products together onto one platform so the world can shop from the Great British High Street in one place.
So what made you come up with the idea?
Being a co-founder, I can't take all the reward for coming up with the idea, but it was a collaborative kind of development from what we originally thought would be a 3D shopping centre. So we originally thought you could put on a headset, browse through a virtual reality shopping centre, but we was a little bit before our time. Now probably that could work a bit better. So we flattened it down to a 2D, more realistic platform, which is in the form of a marketplace. With the success of eBay, Amazon, Etsy and other multi-vendor marketplaces, it seemed like the best place to start. And it's actually developed into a business that is helping a lot of smaller businesses, which is really close to my heart because I was a market trader for a number of years. I dropped one of my market trader jokes at the last Network and Chill event. So yeah.
Are you going to give it to us now? Because I really enjoyed it.
I can't. No, jokes on demand are terrible jokes. But I'm really passionate about small business. And being able to work with over 450 of these retailers at the moment, it gives all of us at Down Your High Street that kind of feel-good feeling while we're also building a big business.
So it's only independent stores and boutiques available on the website, so you won't find your top shops or... Okay.
Yeah, no chain stores, no online sellers. The High Street is a collection of all them kind of businesses, but for us to hold our niche and to really concentrate on a specific kind of area of retail, we're sticking true to that independent small part of the high street. We've always thought about what we could do if maybe we could bring in a few of the larger chain stores. Maybe John Lewis, they're an independently owned business still, but they're so dominant that it would probably overshadow the smaller retailers. So we want to find these amazing boutiques and independent retailers that have these products that you don't find in chain stores and online marketplaces and give the world a chance to buy from them, and it often leaves a consumer with a really happy purchase that makes them come back. So
because I really like the idea in the sense that sometimes I do like items that my friend isn't going to be wearing, but then it's time consuming actually going down to your local high street and rummaging through these stores to find these sort of items that you want. So I totally understand the concept of why it being available online, because that's kind of where the market's going at the moment, would you say?
Completely agree. We've got now especially the younger generation that is probably not originally wasn't most tailored to shop with these small independent shops because they're few and far between in different areas. But what we find now is that the younger generation, they want to support businesses. They don't want to shop with larger brands like Amazon, for example, because Amazon is a retailer as well as a marketplace. So high street shops also don't want to sell on there. So we have this real unique space at the moment that offers the public a kind of, I call it a trendy way, but we do get, not that the older demographic are not trendy, but we've just had a huge amount of awareness come through for a ladies' boutique with a demographic of around 35 to 60, following some awareness on a TV show that sold over 350 pairs of jeans in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, and that was, I think it works out to a half of that retailer's turnover in 1 year in 2 days.
Wow,
so
that's really interesting.
Yeah, and obviously we work with Sarah, the shop's called Artichoke in Ely. The boutique owner, Sarah, I speak to her literally on a daily basis. She's lovely. And she has now committed part of her daily business to working with down your high street and seeing what she can do to help us in return for her getting help at the same time. We've even spoke about maybe Sarah coming on as a bit of an ambassador because she's done everything the right way. So yeah, the opportunity's out there, but retailers have to grab it. We don't do everything. They have to provide us with the nice imagery. We can help them with how to do that. You guys are pros at the setup, you know, and if you can, I suppose if you can lay out the parameters of what a retailer needs to do to kind of work within that modern e-commerce environment to sell a good amount of products, then these retailers have the stock to do so. So yeah.
So let's take it back. You're well established now and you've raised how much money? We
just closed the crowdfunding round on Crowdcube and we raised £265,000.
Wow, that's really nice.
Yeah,
nice.
We only set out to raise 150.
So prior to that investment, did you and your partner invest in the business? Like what advice? So I think for the viewers watching, will have different stages. Some who are just starting out. So what advice could you give them if they're just starting out? Did you invest?
I've invested. My investment has mainly been time. So we're actually 4 years in, and there was a lot of R&D that was done at the beginning that has allowed us to get to where we are now. But the original investment come from my co-founder, a good friend and kind of a family friend, Amanda, and her family's always been behind the project. I met Amanda when I used to work with retailers selling chip and pin payment solutions on the high street, and we both just really picked up on the concept that retailers weren't selling their goods online. They weren't making the most out of all this digital growth. So that's where the idea developed, and I was lucky that Amanda was the first partner in the business because she's been supportive and has the cash flow has come from Amanda essentially. But we've now been able to use the momentum and the research and development that we've done to raise outside money, which has been really, really good. But the co-founder is really important. I can't imagine what it's like going into a startup on your own. If you do have a bank account that allows you to do so without too much risk, and you've got that previous experience with startups, then yes, of course, you're going to save yourself a lot of time and mistakes. But as a young entrepreneur, a lot of lessons that I learned quickly at the beginning was that money is spent really, really fast, and there's nothing you can do about it once it goes. We've used call centres abroad, we've hired marketing companies, and we've never had any real big losses, but even the small ones, when you're not making revenue as a startup business and that money goes, it is a horrible feeling. So there's things that I would do if I was to go again. I'd always look at R&D tax relief. So anything you spend when you're first building your websites, any tech, you can claim that back on your tax as well. So little things like these as a startup that once you know them, they really help you grow because it's not too much of a risk once you know that you can get some back. So yeah, I do think a co-founder is really important, and without Amanda, we probably wouldn't be where we are today. So one thing that I have been envious of in the past is the co-founders that you might get a real tech wizard and then like a marketing wizard, and they collaborate together, and that power between them allows them to get to certain areas, which is really cool. And I think you need to find that kind of thing. If you think the majority of the early part of your business is going to be a specific skill set, really try and find that person. Maybe go down to the Google Hangouts in Shoreditch. You can put posters on the notice board. There are places now to find other people that are interested in doing so. So yeah.
So give us the day in the life of Dan.
A day in the life of, entrepreneurship doesn't really stop. So it's a consistent, it's a day in, day out process, and it normally looks like an early start. I've recently moved in with my other half, and she is a superb businesswoman, but she gets up at literally 4:45 in the morning. So I've now started getting up at the same time, which has been, it's done wonders for me because I've now learned that I can get so much done before 9 o'clock when the clogs start turning. So the morning I get up with Jade. We both go towards the train station. I go my way, Jade goes hers. From that point, the laptop's out. I'm catching up on emails. Often, the minute 9 o'clock comes and the emails start coming, it's very hard to catch up just when there's so much going on. So that morning kind of period is that prime time for me to catch up. We've got an office in Oxford Circus, so I'm normally the first in the office. that's about 7:30. I'll probably get there. I have a coffee, some cereal, and we carry on going through the list of to-dos. We've got a big whiteboard in the office with the most important projects on, so I make sure that I'm always working on my business rather than for my business, which is something that I've learned recently, and it is changing the way I work. It's really good.
So say that again, working
on my business rather than for my business.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard because when you have a business that's growing and the pace starts turning up, it's something that I haven't been used to in the past. Coming from the market trader background, now in the tech industry, it's really hard to find that creativity that you first had when you started the business. So it's important for me to kind of knock out the basic tasks at the beginning. Then I look up at my board, I look at the points, that the most important parts that are happening within Down Your High Street at the moment, and I work on them. I'll put the music in, I'll shut off for a few hours and make sure that they're being worked on. We've now got a small team. We've got a young marketing apprentice. We have a new developer that's just started in the company, and we're about to hire a front-end developer as well as a product marketing manager as well. So these projects then get liaised with the team, and we work on them collaboratively to kind of start pushing it out further. After that, we're in an incubator building, so there's a pool table, there's a fridge full of beers, there's 5 other startups, and there's a larger startup in the corner. There's a guy that owns it called Andrew Zenny. He's been a bit of a mentor to me, especially within the tech industry. He's a bit of a beast. And so a lot of ideas are thrown out throughout that process around the pool table. A few games of pool do happen. If there's any crowdfunding investors watching, then I promise I don't have more than 2 games a day. And that's the kind of process in the office. The time of work is never the same. As most entrepreneurs will find, I'm lucky again because my other half has her own business and she's often working late hours. So getting home at 9, 10 o'clock is not too much of an issue, and we become a bit of crossing trains in the night. But that is, I'd probably say 4 days of the week, it's probably 8, 9 o'clock getting home, and then maybe 1 day a week I just try and make that effort of getting home at a decent time. But even then, laptop's out on the computer on the train home, just trying to pick up the pieces. Other entrepreneurs will probably get this, and people that are starting their own business will start getting this too, but your head is always full of things that are happening, ideas, and you feel like you're going to miss out. So for me, it's always the only time I can relax is if I've got that last bit of work done, or got the idea out, fired that last email, and so on. So the day in the life of is not as exciting as most entrepreneurs will make it out to be, but it's real, and it's graft. And it's often full up with stress, headaches and pain, but...
So how do you manage the stress, the headache and the pain? Do you take days off where you just literally think, okay, I just need a day to myself?
Sometimes, not often. Maybe 1 day a month, there might be a day where it's just like it's heavy and you need to reset and so you can start looking forward again. So that does happen, or that might be a working from home day, but that's not often.
So how do you keep yourself always motivated?
Fitness is something for me. That's how, I keep mentioning Jade all the time, I don't mean to, but that's how we met, and that's something that's really important to me, especially for the young developer that we've just hired. He cycles 2.5 hours to work and 2.5 hours home, and it's because that he wants his mind to be healthy.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with that. And I love that we're getting that culture in the office already. So that's one way. Dinner and a glass of wine, just that quick
Chill
reset.
Out, yeah.
And it's and that often allows you to go to bed a little bit relaxed, wake up with that clear mind again. If not, it's a hangover. But it's it's just that little. You need these resets in your life. You can't focus on one thing 100% because the things end up falling by the wayside and it don't work. So just try and take a breather as much as you can, and lean on as many experienced people as possible.
So lean on as many experienced people as possible. So you have a mentor now. You had a mentor. Would you advise people who are getting into the game to try and find a mentor? Yeah,
100%. I've probably got 3 or 4 mentors. Not specifically. I've asked them to be my mentor, but the relationships have been formed where they are experienced within a specific area of what we do, and they're the go-to person for me. William, who's a Network and Chill member as well, he is, for me, a serial entrepreneur that just knows everything about everything.
Yeah.
I've never met no one, you know him really well, don't you?
Definitely.
And I've never met no one that can literally add something vital to most topics and have, you know, really relevant to say. Just yesterday we was talking about a marketing strategy, and we're starting to get some film crews out to retailers and film the in-store stuff, and he shuts me down straight away. He's like, but it's real honest, good feedback, right? So for example, we're talking about a marketing budget of doing something, and he literally goes like that. So I'm like, all right. And then he goes, how much would you make if you spent that on paid ads? And then I work out the difference, and I'm like, that idea's out the window.
You're right.
yeah. But it's these things, because as entrepreneurs, your mind wanders and you get caught with the idea. But the fact of business is you're here to make money.
Yeah.
Yes, we want to do good and we want to give something back to the people we're working with, especially the retailers that we support. But we have to always think about now, where does Down Your High Street profit from that? At the beginning, we started Down Your High Street as just 5% commission on sales, and it was really nice to do that. But the longevity of that is so small because we can't survive.
Yeah.
And the more we understand about the increase in paid advertising online, because everyone, you know, it's a growing vertical, the more we have to be really strong with the fact that we need to make money. And now we're 15% commission on sales. But retailers, when they make a volume, when they make a huge, not a huge, but when they make a new revenue stream, they appreciate that, and it's sounds they didn't have, and they can understand that 15%. But we was throwing ideas back and forward about percentages before, and it confuses everyone, and it kind of added friction. So I think you consistently have to remind yourself about making money. I have a few other mentors. One of our newest investors, a guy, he knows that space really well, and he run a very successful consultancy company called Practicology, which was about getting experienced e-commerce people into these new retail chains, guiding them from people that have actually done it before. So being able to sit with him for an hour every 2 weeks allows me to just kind of get my finger on the pulse a little bit more.
Yeah, and help you.
Yeah.
So even if it's just, you know, not having a specific mentor, it's also who you've been around and the experience they have. So going back to Network and Chill, like you said, we're building a community of people with ambition, with dreams, with startups, entrepreneurs and investors. So again, if you can't find a mentor, it's really surrounding yourself with people that you can still gain advice. At
Network and Chill last time, it's quite funny that we're talking about what you can get from mentors and other people, because when you bring other entrepreneurs into the same space, there are a real unique set of skills and lessons that often come up in conversation. One of the most valuable to me at Network and Chill was a discussion about tax relief, because as an entrepreneur and a startup, you're often liaising with investors, and yes, they want to make money on their investment, but every investment is a risk. So if an investor can secure their money anyway, then they're more likely to invest. And I was chatting to one entrepreneur, and we were speaking about EIS and SEIS. So the difference is EIS is over £150,000 worth of investment. You can claim up to 30% back on your investment at the end of the tax year. But then you get SEIS, which is for businesses that have been trading within 2 years, and investors can claim up to 50% back. And I believe if the startup fails as well, you can actually claim something like 90% of your investment back. So your risk is really managed. So even though I'd been established as a business for probably 3.5, 4 years at this point, this entrepreneur told me that I should still look at it because it's 2 years from trading rather than being established. Yeah. So that advice at Network and Chill was quite pivotal for me. It allowed me to quickly apply for SEIS. Crowdfunding was then SEIS pending. That allowed investors to invest in the campaign, knowing that there might be a chance of higher relief on their investment. Just after we closed and the calling off email went out, we finally got acknowledgement from HMRC. To say that we've been approved for SEIS, so we've managed to give our investors that little bit of security. So these little snippets of information I didn't get from my accountants. I didn't get from any investors that I was currently working with. It's such a specific to our industry piece of knowledge that you only know once you've done it. So that's something that I'd really encourage other startups to look at as well. These little relief schemes that are out there.
So where do you see Down Your High Street in 5 years?
Everywhere. So downyourhighstreet.com for us is a global shopping platform to buy from the UK high street. So we want to be all over the world, and giving the public in Australia, for example, they've got a huge interest in the UK market at the moment in terms of online shopping. Amazon's only just gone over there. Apparently, their e-commerce side's about 5 years behind of the UK. So we can we can leverage that growth by offering UK products to them from our retailers, and give the high street a chance to not just work with their local customers, but then work with a much wider audience. So we see it as a global shopping platform. We want to be taking the concept to other countries in Europe, for example, where we can start working with quirky retailers as well. But yeah, I see Down Your High Street as the first thing a retailer does when they set up a shop, and I see it as a common kind of looking point for a consumer that is looking to be different when they purchase products.
So what advice would you give someone who's starting out a business?
Have your foundation set hard, because it's tough. You've got to batten down the hatches and be able to ride the waves. I haven't been involved in startups before. I've worked with a lot of businesses, but when it's your baby, it's a completely different ball game. So be willing to take a few punches. Surround yourself with the people that are interested in that kind of space or have done it before. The more you get into it, you naturally start gravitating towards these people, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. But yeah, just look at what's happening in the environment at the moment, or sorry, the space, because there are places that you can get the information from these people, like Google Hangouts campus in Shoreditch. I'll try not to establish the business until the concept is, you've got something real, because we established really early. That then affects the money you raise. It affects how investors see the growth of the company as well. So I'd make sure you're really solid with your idea and you've got some kind of proof of concept, whether it's on a customer or business side of things. Yeah, and just get advice, speak to people. Don't be afraid to ask silly questions, because it's all, every answer is going to help you on the next one. So go for it.
Thanks for joining us on the couch today, Dan. We have learnt some really interesting information about downyourhighstreet.com, and you're going to leave us with the outro.
I am indeed. Thank you very much for having me. Don't forget, when you shop on Down Your High Street, mind your head on the way in, because prices are low.